Welcome, and thank you for tuning in. You're listening to the Beyond 50 radio program. I'm your host, Daniel Davis. In this troubling economy, everybody's trying to figure out ways they can bring in more income or at least maintain the income that they have, much less even try to protect the assets that corporations at times seem to be swindling away from people who are trying to invest for the long term to secure their retirement. What to do? What are the answers that we can find out there? Certainly looking for jobs isn't as easy as it seemed to be 10, 15 years ago. Everybody seems to be scrambling for the same position, and sometimes they're finding themselves at pay rates that are way below what they were used to, having to adjust and change their lifestyle. Joining us here on the Beyond 50 radio program today is someone who's going to talk with us about how we can create multiple streams of income for your business. But you say, I'm working at a job, I don't have a business, what do I do about that? Well, maybe you've got a great idea, and we can see how we can translate that into a business, which then again can translate into multiple streams of income. Ways we can test the market to find out if your business idea or model is viable enough, and if not, ways we can possibly make adjustments so that we can find out whether or not it can be successful and be sure that you can create those multiple streams of income that you're looking for. After all, one egg in one basket may be able to serve you, but multiple eggs can certainly serve you well as others. I'd like to welcome to the program today someone who is going to share with us how we can do just that. She is certainly a business coach and an advisor to people who can create not only successful businesses just from an idea, but also multiple streams of income from that very idea. And I'd like to welcome to the Beyond 50 radio program today our guest, Oshana Hibbett, on creating multiple streams of income for your business. And Oshana, thank you for taking the time to join us here on the Beyond 50 radio program today.
It's a pleasure to be here, Daniel.
You know, that's exciting when you think about the possibility that as a listener out there is saying, well, you know, I'm kind of working at this job, maybe pumping gas, but I've got this great idea for a business model, and I want to put it into action. What it is that you do to get people started moving on that course of action?
You know, the first thing I do is help them define what their talents and skills are. Some people have never really sat down and taken the time to write about it and think about it. That's the first step.
I think what's interesting is that a lot of times people define themselves by the job they do without ever realizing that it's time to take inventory about who they are authentically so they can move in that direction.
You know, it's so true, and we think in such limited ways about what we can do because we have been influenced by what jobs already exist, not by what jobs we can create. Often when we create something new, it's something that has never preceded it. It can be putting things together in a new way or saving people time, saving people money, making it easy. And I'd like to share an example. I myself, in the last year, I'm not a geek, and so I was looking for someone to put my infrastructure with my cell phone and computer and everything together so that everything was seamless. I didn't really find anyone that could do that for me, but I did talk to someone that worked in that area, and I said to him, if you could do this as a consultant, you would make so much money because you're saving people so much effort. And right now, time is such a premium in our life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, what is your definition in the context of what we're talking about here of what multiple streams of income are?
Yeah, thanks for asking that because my definition is different than some of the marketing gurus that are quite well known.
Yeah, it seems that way. You know, they all act like it's so easy, but they've made their millions and they've lost contact or connection with the real people that are trying to get out of bed and say, but, okay, that's great for you. You've done that already, but I don't see how that fits into my motif, for instance.
Right. Well, there are these wonderful marketing gurus that I've been studying with now for about 3 years, and so let me give you their definition first. Their definition is really that you are creating more than one revenue stream from projects that are not necessarily connected or related to each other or to your expertise. An example of that would be someone who has let's say they have a floral company, they sell flowers. They flip properties, and they play music in the evenings as well. That would be an example of someone that creates multiple streams of income from totally unrelated projects and also expertise. The way I define it is creating more than one revenue stream that is completely related from your expertise. Creating several ways to make money from your expertise. And so it really is about what is it that you know that other people might like to know and pay you to know.
Boy, wouldn't that be the golden key for a lot of people, huh?
Well, right now there are so many ways to monetize intellectual property.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it was said by one of those marketing gurus that the commodity that most people want right now is information.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have something that you know really well, it can be anything, and you have a ready market or markets, it's just a matter of how do you package it if you know that they will buy it from you.
Mm-hmm. That always seems to be the order of the day, that's for sure, because like you were saying about the marketing gurus that are out there, they make it seem so easy, and probably it is as it seems, but it's a matter of getting started.
It is a matter of getting started, and there are many different forms of products that you can create from your expertise, such as teleseminars and webinars, audios and videos, newsletters, something called a continuity program, which means that every month you get paid for giving content, new and fresh and different content every month. Those are just a few, but there are many more.
Mm-hmm. Now, how did this work become part of the business management model?
Of my own?
Yes.
It's interesting because this was not, I don't even consider it my core expertise, but you can actually have a core expertise and then have you can have numerous sub-expertises underneath that. So for many, many years, I've been building upon my skills and expertise in leadership development, team building, communication, and emotional well-being in the workplace. And so as a result of doing this work, every conversation I was having with my clients and my friends, especially in the last year and a half, was about the economy and about what are we going to do? The old ways aren't working.
Mm-hmm.
The old ways of marketing are no longer working. We are not getting the results we used to get. We don't have a clue what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So people do all kinds of things. They change businesses. They quit something that they built that's really from their heart. They do all kinds of things as a reaction, not as a response, because they don't know what the possibilities are.
You know, it's interesting you bring up the old ways of marketing don't work anymore, and we're talking about the traditional ways such as what, television advertising, direct mail, radio, newsprint, magazines, and the like. Is that what we're talking about there?
Well, yes, and I would say the list that you just gave, I don't think it's black and white. I think that there are some really good ways. Some of those are still good vehicles, such as direct mail and radio and perhaps even TV. But what is different is that I think what's happening is that the results people are getting now is from a personal and deep connection with somebody, and then they choose to do business with them. And that is what the Internet is all about right now.
Mm-hmm. You know, and it's such a wonderful opportunity because of what people have available to them, and they don't have to see a tremendous outlay of money like you would used to. For instance, you know, going and taking out a radio spot that could run you anywhere from $85 a minute all the way up to $700 a minute, depending, and before you even get your first phone call, you've already been out quite a bit of money, and that's where the Internet seems to favor people who have, as you say, a good idea and being able to get it out to people to be able to use in a very inexpensive way. What's been your experience with that?
You know, it's very interesting. I have to tell you, I mean, social marketing, I'm certainly involved in that, and what I have seen as a trend is something called the long tail. You might have heard that term before.
Mm-hmm.
But the long tail is basically that you could actually have a CD or a DVD and make 3 sales a year, but you'd still have some presence on the web. So people can still find you. So what's happening is that reporters, and I'm sure you know this, that reporters are really like going to Twitter to find people to interview. Now, this is unprecedented, this pattern. And this is, to me, as I watch, a very exciting pattern because it means that anyone has a chance to contribute to the greater good of humanity. Mm-hmm. Everyone. It's not that only the top, let's say the top 10 songs that Walmart will pick up. It's not only that anymore. It's that you can be anyone and create something of your own, use your own, tools to make it and everything else, and you can be found. Mm-hmm. That means that the intellectual property, the expertise, are our passion, what we love, what we love to do when we're not doing our job, that can contribute, that can make a difference. And this is the first time that I have seen this in my lifetime.
But, and it's so encouraging too, Oshana, to think that back in the day when, I guess, call them information outlets as television and radio were so narrow that it was about, well, we're going to go ahead and feed people what they think they want and test market all that. But in fact, it seems like people now more this day and age are finding that they want more authenticity in how they receive their information and genuineness, because they know that it comes from people who are not only practical, generally speaking, but people who have actually sort of been in their shoes, if you will. Does that make sense?
Very, very much, and it really is all about relationships. In fact, I could give you an example. I've been doing some work for a scientist, actually, over a period of time, and we have been actually developing some multiple streams of income, believe it or not, even a scientist. But I can tell you that the best results have been from really creating, I would say, deep connections with other people. And that's when things happen. It's really through collaboration. And this is something that, again, I think is such a positive step, because it means that we are, I believe, going to work more and more as a collective. We will be partnering much more than we ever had. And I can say personally that I have been an entrepreneur since 1992, and this is the first time that I really am needing to take a look at my business and go, I don't think that I want to continue to do it this way anymore. I just, it's much more fun with other people, and what you can create is, I think, so much more exciting as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, let's talk about how someone can create this in the work that they have already.
Okay. Well, how about this? Do you want to? I have some examples, but could you throw out an example and we'll just play around with it?
Okay, let's go ahead and give an example, for instance, of this radio program, for instance, okay?
Okay.
A couple of ways that we do it, of course, we broadcast our radio program. A lot of times what we'll do is we'll allow people to actually grab, or we'll send them a link so they can actually post it on their website. Another way that we're also reaching the audience with information is that we do it through a weekly newsletter. Now, one of the things about a newsletter for the listeners out there is you need people who want to receive it. So what we'll tend to do is we'll go to trade shows, and then, of course, we'll make a special offer for them to sign up so they actually get something rather than, when you were talking about traditional, a lot of people will go to trade shows, win a new car, just simply enter here to win. Well, everybody nowadays, figures, well, I never win that, and most of the time I don't think anybody does, but we sincerely try to give them something on the spot just to say thank you. But that takes a lot of time for, I guess, the result. So taking a look at just those two things, how would you then say, well, here's a way you can really increase your numbers, in a different way, and at the same time maintaining those numbers so people aren't just falling off after the first week or the first month?
Okay, so the ways that you're engaging people outside of the show are through a newsletter?
Right.
And what other ways are you engaging them?
There's just that one. Then we tend to try to do a little bit of work through Facebook, which is something that I do, but I haven't been as consistent as I'm trying to find time to not only do that, but also navigate. And then also we post little Twitter comments that basically are in relationship to shows that we've done. So in other words, it might be a little Twitter thing that simply says, want to find out multiple streams of income with the business or the work that you have right now, tune in here, and then we have a hot link for them to click into. So
Good.
That's what we've been doing so far.
All right. So the first, like if we were working together, my first question would be, what is your brand?
Okay. Now, our brand is a radio program for baby boomers.
Right.
And the second thing is, Beyond 50 was the title we used because we wanted people to understand that we approach our subjects, whatever they may be, in a very holistic fashion, so that it isn't to say that it works for everybody, but this may work for you, but we're going to bring in something else that may work for somebody else, in other words. So it's a way of looking past things halfway, so to speak.
Sure. And you do have listeners that are younger, I understand, as well.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So have you ever taken a survey of your listeners?
No, we've never done that, actually.
Okay, well that's one way to find out what they're thinking about. That might not be obvious because you have topics, you have topics every time you interview someone, and
Mm-hmm.
it's focused on that. So they might have some unmet needs that you could fill, and they might have some unmet needs that you cannot fill.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it isn't in alignment with your mission and your brand, it's kind of silly to be, focused on that, or you're in another business, right?
Exactly.
So I think I feel taking surveys is an amazing marketing tool. I use it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my number one methods of helping people do the marketing research to test a business idea.
So as you create these surveys, how do you get them to outreach to the people that you would like to have surveyed?
Well, you have a newsletter list, right?
Right.
Now, so your newsletter list are already people that said, yes, we want to be part of your following.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be a good place to start. If you are doing trade shows, I don't know how frequently you do them. You may not do them real frequently. It's a lot of time and effort, I understand. But if you are doing them, you can certainly find ways to survey people there. But I think inviting your listeners to fill out an online survey, I guess, is another way.
Mm-hmm. So it's just a matter of creating the right questions about things that they're looking for. What are some of the common things that you tend to see that people are wanting to have more of?
I've asked this question a lot over the years because my own work tends to be, ironically, a little bit eclectic. And so when I talk to people right now about what they want, what they need, and what they want, it's really about, well, certainly money is probably more there than it was. But I think it's also about quality of life. It's about health and sustainability. And I think people want to make a difference and they want to see a change.
Mm-hmm.
So all of and I know your show has a lot of those elements in it. And so, maybe there's just some programs that could address their responses in things that maybe you hadn't thought of based on their response. Or projects that you could even start that are part of the radio show. And that actually ties into the multiple streams of income idea. In other words, and certainly I don't know all your funding sources, but we don't really need to talk about that. But, in other words, if you let's say you only have one stream of income, let's say it's advertising.
Mm-hmm.
There might, if you first, to really monetize this, you have to not focus on the money, but on people's needs. Once you focus on people's needs and you understand that there's some things that you can fill, then you can figure out how to make money from it.
Mm-hmm. That actually makes the most sense. It's interesting what people tend to think when they have a business idea. They put it into motion, and the first thing they expect it to do is to feed them right away, just like their job did. And so, like you said, they're focused on the money, even more so when it's not coming in, in a nice flow where they're finding themselves having to negotiate with bill collectors and so forth. And then they get desperate as to how do we make more money, and they forget if they even remember in the first place, what they were in business for in the first place.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
It's, this is something that perhaps will be taught differently in schools earlier on. Certainly, I call it leveraging I deal a lot with leveraging a person's intellectual property, but there's another thought I wanted to share about this, and that is that I think in the future, in the next, let's say 10 years, I don't know about 5 to 10 years, I don't think we're going to have to work as hard as we are now.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. I think that there will be changes in society that will create it's so that we don't really have to work these 12-hour days for years. Mm-hmm. to make sort of breakthrough in a business. I really think that it's going to be different where our needs will be met, maybe working 4 to 5 hours is something we really love, and we would have more time for the things that create balance and joy.
Exactly. I know it's funny when you talk earlier about the marketing gurus, how to find balance or love, passion, and balance in your work, love, spirituality, and life. And people go, how do you have time to do all that and balance it all?
It's really true, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And I see very stressed people, people that come to me very stressed. And it's always about balance. There's something not balanced. And either it's because maybe they think they have to do certain things. There's familial expectations and pressures and things like that. But that always is a sign, because my brand is joy. So everything I'm doing, and this work is about joy within our career, this multiple streams work. It's a sub-brand of my brand. So if there isn't joy, it's always a sign that there's something that's off.
Mm-hmm. Now, Shauna, as we've been talking here about how someone can create multiple streams of income from an idea or from a business or potential business they want to start, how does a person, let's say they're working, at a restaurant and they're a cook and they just come up with an idea, how do they test market to find out whether or not this idea is viable and serves people?
Yeah.
And the like?
Well, there's a lot of methods, and I came up with a really easy method, which I'm happy to share. Mm-hmm. It may not work for everyone, but it's so easy. It's really through developing warm relationships with people, meaning, sometimes you have to start with cold calling. Sometimes I do. But within a very short time, there is a rapport. And what I do is I research the idea and the market by creating a list of really simple questions. I take those questions and I figure out who could be a market, a new market or whatever. What group would I love to work with, and what group or groups do I think really have a need? And then I create a list of really, really simple questions. I think I could probably share more about that in a minute. But anyway, I create a list of questions, and then I create a list of people I want to talk to, and I start making phone calls. Now, sometimes I'll never get the person unless I ask for their email, so I will send them an email and tell them that I'm developing a product, and the product is in their industry, and do they have a few minutes? I have a few questions I wanted to ask them about the product and get their response. And that's really true. I'm really not at the point of selling because I don't even have a price list yet. I'm just testing the market. Mm-hmm. So
I was going to ask you real quick, as you said you sometimes do cold calls.
Yes.
How do people generally respond to you when you call up, and what is it that you say? Because that's a lot of times what people think right off the bat is, okay, what are you going to sell me? I don't have time for this.
Yeah, well, I have to tell you, I'm quite fortunate, and I know that not everybody has this expertise, but I certainly could teach it. I spent, I would say, over a 10-year period, probably if you were to group all that time together, I would say 3 years doing telemarketing about between 8 and 10 hours a day, if you can believe it. And I really had wonderful times, especially because one was in a family business. And I knew everyone in the business, and it was really a joy to go to work every day, and it was totally fun. In fact, I'll tell you the story. A friend of mine, he was excellent. He actually, had made a very good living doing this. One day he got no's all day long, and this was really cold calling. Mm-hmm. The last call of the day, he got a yes, and it made the whole day worth it financially. I'm talking 10 hours of no's, if you can believe that. Mm-hmm. Well, not everybody has the constitution, so if they don't, they could outsource it to someone else or to a company that this is what they know. But I can tell you that with a few simple tricks or ideas, you can really change a cold call into a very warm call in a very short time. Mm-hmm. And it's really about, first of all, really leveling with the person that you really are looking for information, telling them up front what you are looking for, and then treating them like you're considerate of their time and of what they know. And I have gotten contracts doing this.
Wow.
Uh-huh. I remember once I called. It was actually a nonprofit. I can't remember why I called them in Los Angeles, and I ended up working with them on a contract basis and becoming really good friends with the director. I really, and that was from a cold call. It's extraordinary, but it's really about where you come from when you're doing this. It's about your intention, and people pick it up in your voice right away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be as daunting as it sounds. It's just like when you're out, as I said, when we're out doing trade shows and we suggest people come and sign up for our newsletter. It's all, what are you trying to reel me into? Are we going to get phone calls? It's amazing how the old model of marketing has created such a cynicism that people don't realize when someone's saying, no, I genuinely have something I just want to send you and it's free.
Well, that's, I think, part of the shift that's going on is that, I think marketing is going to be more like sharing.
Exactly.
It'll be more like, let's share. It sounds like, I'm in a sandbox or something and I'm 5, but the truth is that when it's done like that, it's a lot more fun to do it. A lot more fun.
I keep remembering the late comedian Bill Hicks that he was saying, is there anybody in here in marketing and advertising? If there is, go kill yourself. And the bottom line is he's saying, what have you really ever done to move people forward? You have sly commercials or slick ads that are just trying to basically sucker people into buying a product that they didn't even realize that they needed before, or a service.
That's right.
In this day and age, people are moving beyond, again, like I was saying earlier, they want genuineness, they want authenticity, they want to know that you really understand the needs they need to have met, and that you have a way to provide that, whether it's you directly or someone else that you know through a referral, for instance.
What you're saying is completely true, and a lot of companies fall really short on follow-up. I can tell you that for a while I had a lot of health products sent to me, UPS, and I think probably in 100, let's say 100 shipments over several, let's say 5 years, I would say maybe I got 1 or 2 follow-up calls, like, did you receive it, or were you happy with it? Is there anything else we can do for you? I mean, the simplest customer service is something that a lot of, I think, larger companies are really lacking in right now. And I think it's creating a marketing opportunity. Now, I might be dated on this, I don't know, but I don't think so. I think that the fact that when large companies often get really big, they somehow they lose the personal touch. I think it's creating a marketing wonderful opportunity for smaller businesses that can really completely address the needs of their client. Like, I'll give you an example. I ordered a bag, a computer bag, and I didn't get it. And I called, and they sent me an email and said, track it with FedEx. This is the tracking number. Well, this is like a month later, and I'm going, I still didn't get it. If somebody had just taken the time with me, handled the whole thing, sent me the bag, I would have referred other people to them, but they didn't.
Isn't that amazing how everybody talks about customer service this day and age, but nobody really practices it anymore?
Well, it's true, and it's so easy. And I think that there's going to be a growth, again, a proliferation of really small businesses. I don't know the cottage industry model too well, like a bunch of people sitting around a table beating or something, but I actually have a sense that there's going to be more of that. Because if people can make money doing that, online sales and maybe some offline sales, and freeing themselves and having half of the day free to do something else they love, why wouldn't they do that?
Especially when you find people who are in jobs, especially in this trying economy where it seems that now the message that comes from the boss is, I can have you replaced, I've got a line of people outside the door, the compassion is gone. And, and then you got to realize, the boss, he's also under the gun, and so is the boss's boss, and so forth. And you realize who really wants to live under that type of business model anymore. What people really crave is freedom.
Well, it's true. And, so success is really, the whole idea of what success is really changing. Because if you have a team, and I've seen a few of these around, they're really a delight. And I can kind of spot it now when I walk into. In fact, I'll tell you, I had my car serviced about a week ago. Oh my God, they took care of every single detail. They gave me a printout. They told me exactly what was going on. They did everything. It was really extraordinary. And there's no reason that we can't all do that.
It's interesting for our listeners out there. We're talking with Oshana Himmet about creating multiple streams of income for your business, or even creating a business which creates multiple streams of income. One of the big questions too here is how does someone create multiple streams that fits into their work, into their life, vision, and their planning?
You know, this is an important question because it's not just about the money.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you take something you really are good at and hopefully you love, and then you create, let's say, 6 different ways to make money from that, I don't think it's really just about the money. It's about sharing something with other people that you really know something about, you can help them, you believe in, and then you create. I could give an example, perhaps, but before I do that, in answer to your question about business and life planning, really, I think if you're going through a change with career, it's important not to start with what do I do now, but to say to yourself, what is it that I want for my life first and my business? Mm-hmm. What do I want to create? And that has to do with like different qualities that you want to have in your life, different day rhythm, time with family, time with friends, time for other projects that you love, things to do. I would start there. Mm-hmm. And then I would focus on something that fits into that. And so there are some really good modules for business. I'm sure you've probably interviewed other people that are, kind of specialized, other coaches that do a lot of this work. But there are some really good modules out there that, like the Life Wheel, which is one you might know about, Daniel, where you divide your life into 8 different categories, and then you focus on each one, what you want to create, and then how do you do that. And so a lot of people fall short in the action part. And I'm right now developing like a three-prong module for Hawaii retreats and teleclasses that have to do with these 3 areas. And one is the foundational work, which is this kind of inner work. And the second is the actual planning of how do you translate what you want into action and follow up. And then the third is the multiple streams of income idea. So I would start with what you want first and then work into what your expertise is that you want to share and then how to share it.
Okay, and so you had an example about this?
Yeah, I had an example I was thinking about. In fact, I have a couple examples I can share. Actually, I'll share this one first because everybody knows Sesame Street, right?
Sure.
Well, Sesame Street is an older example, but I looked it up today just because I wanted to see what was, what they're currently doing. And they have now I believe they're like a merchandising company in Europe that's merchandising their products through some kind of licensing agreement. And the reason I'm happy to share this example is, well, they just created a whole kingdom, really. And also Sesame Street has a store, and they sell home decor and toys and games and DVDs and books and audios and all kinds of stuff that they created from their core expertise. Something that they did really well, which was that amazing TV educational workshop TV show. Mm-hmm. And they created tons of products. Now, most people don't know how to do that. And so what's important is to gather the right resources to make what you want to have happen in those other areas real. Mm-hmm. Another example, and this is a made-up example, is let's say you're a recycling company and you work with companies. You provide that service. They pay you for that. And so you have regular customers and you want to develop additional streams of revenue. So you write a book on recycling for the hotel industry. That's a niche. That's part of niche marketing, really. You're taking what you do well, and you're focused on a particular group that could benefit from what you know, the hotel industry. You sell that book to hotels in quantity, who give it away to their entire staff. Now, that's an example of bulk sales, and one thing you can do with bulk sales is you can create a private label opportunity where they would put their name on it, and that can be a wonderful source of revenue as well. Most people don't know too much about it. I'm just learning about it myself.
Well, that's the beauty about all of this, is it's always a learning process, and for those who are out there working at jobs and waiting for the next raise, and you realize what people really crave isn't so much the raise, but the opportunity for growth and development, to be able to be learning, each day, so that they can add that to their own toolbox.
That's right. It's about expanding, because I in my own life I can see when I'm not going forward, I'm going backward. There it really is no standing still. If either I feel good or I don't feel good. There's nothing in the middle. If you say you're stuck, then you're not really stuck. You're not moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So with the hotel example, so this recycling company could also offer consulting services to the hotel in how to implement a recycling program. They could also offer a more extensive implementation program with higher price points. And this could include the work of other professionals, other companies with whom you have created an affiliate relationship. And so every time your client, let's say a hotel, uses the service of one of these professionals, you also make money. So I just shared about 4 or 5 different ways that you could monetize your expertise in recycling to companies. Well, one is by finding a niche market, hotels, and they are really wanting, they are going green more and more right now.
Sure.
So that could be a good market. And then through consulting and through a book, about 3 other ways that you could also make money.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just another example that I love, and it's in the 90s I did a lot of work with nonprofits. I still do, but I did even more then, especially when I first started consulting. Well, at that time, the Denver Children's Museum in Denver, they were really into this multiple streams of income idea, like way before a lot of other nonprofits and entrepreneurs. But the same principles apply to that field. So they wrote a book on Denver history. It was part of what they knew about, their expertise. And they asked themselves, who else needs or wants this book, a book on Denver history? They knocked on the door of some real estate companies, and they found a real estate company that purchased their book in quantity, gave it away to their clients who were new to Denver, who would love that information about Denver, and they made around $10,000 in one. I believe it's 10,000. I'm not mistaken. It could be 5, but 5 or 10,000 in one sale. This is a nonprofit.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, it's funny because I keep remembering author of the Rich Dad Poor Dad series, Robert Kiyosaki, and he simply says, "Money is an idea, and once you have that sort of ingrained in you, you start seeing it play out in some of the most unique ways." So as you were saying earlier in the program, Oshana, is that truly the whole paradigm is shifting to where people and their ideas, it's like the original America is starting to resurface again.
It's refreshing, isn't it?
It is, because here everybody, they hear the American idea is to, build a great career, make a bunch of money, and have, a home and raise a family. And I'm like, but that's not really the American ideal or the experiment. The experiment is if you have an idea in America and you have the guts to follow it, that you truly can prosper here in this country, unlike, in some other countries.
And it's very true. When you were talking about it, I was thinking that there was a blueprint created during the time of the Declaration of Independence, that blueprint. And I think that in spite of what has been happening, many, many people just still hold the idea and inspiration for the potential of this country.
Mm-hmm. Now, Shauna, I'd like you to share more of the business life planning tool and how how multiple streams can fit into this.
Yeah, okay, I'm delighted to do that. And also, before we stop, I can also share some good questions that you could talk to a potential market about through like a feasibility study. But sure. Well, the business and life planning module, it's funny. I was looking at the 8 categories. If I can remember them correctly, it's like spiritual, career, finances, relationships, health, education, personal growth, like that. And I actually changed them. I created 2. In my version, they're triangles. They're not circles. And the triangle at the top, there's one for life and one for business. They're both the same. At the top, it's spiritual, and then the left end of the triangle on the bottom is vision, and the right side is health. And under health comes everything that you would look at the health of. For example, in a business, it would be your customers, your clients, your vendors, your employees, your like that. In a person, the health would be their body, their relationships, their career, their emotions, like that. So I start with the spiritual and talk about have people walk through what they want in their life spiritually, and then what vision they have for their life and or their work, and then talk about what they want to create in the health of all these aspects of their life and their work. And that work is has helped me a lot get clear about what I want and make it really much easier to start taking action. The more that I do that process, and I have to be honest, for the last few weeks I haven't done it every day, but when I do it every day, I find that my day is like, it just is so easy and fast, and things happen really smoothly because I'm so clear about what to do and what to drop out. And right now, time seems to be of the essence. It's like I don't really want to waste my time. Just to take too long to get here, and now I just want to make it real and help people. And I know a lot of other people feel the same way. So, and this is kind of a core, and there's another part of this module which has to do with, a lot of people have these laws in their work now, laws of the universe, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Covey worked with it. A lot of people are doing works with laws, but I created some that I think are a little different. One is the law of momentum, which is about that doing something is much better than doing nothing.
Right.
For example, even if you have no time, and a lot of people have no time, especially if they have families and full-time jobs, but they might have 5 or 10 minutes. But that 5 or 10 minutes, if you nurture that 5 or 10 minutes, it grows into more time because whatever you focus on expands, so it will grow. And then I have a couple other laws that I've been beginning to work with myself, and one is the law of energy, which is about the energy that you put out and being sensitive to what you receive back and working with that when you're not getting what you want. And then the law of joy, which is what my work is really about, is that when something is quite off, to be able to look at it more closely and to take action as well. So one is the foundational work, the other is the business and life planning, and the third is this work. But it really is based so much on, I think, what people want in their heart to express. And many people have not been in their life's work until now. I do see a change where more and more people are really stepping into the work that they might have spent years developing in other professions so that they could be ready to do something that is creative and that really serves an unmet need.
Mm-hmm. Interesting stuff here. Always a great possibility to know that you can always step forward. Like you said, building momentum is about just doing something. It doesn't have to be a lot, but it has to be something to move you in the direction to create excitement and enthusiasm so that you take bigger steps. That's for sure.
And you feel better. I know times when I felt stuck. Mm-hmm. If I had one phone call, one thing, I felt better.
It's amazing, as they say, the 1,000-mile journey begins with a single step, and how true that really is.
It really is. It's really true.
I'm curious with what we're talking about here. I see quite a shift in society. So how do you see society changing for the multiple streams of income and the way that you define it?
I think that when people are doing what they love to do and what they've built an expertise doing, that it shows up as it has been now with all the companies that started as just really small companies that have now become public because they provided something that was really valuable. Look at all the companies that are now so big that started so small, and they're providing something that is in response to what people want and need. I feel that this is the real revolution, that this is what will create the change that many of us in our hearts have been wanting and praying for a long time.
Not to mention, it's kind of nice, too, if you can do your business out of your own home. That's more time for you, more time for your family. You're not spending money, on time and gas, trying to get back and forth to work. So there's a lot of ways that this particular modality really serves even toward the green movement that everybody seems to want to be lauding.
Very true. It's much more about a sustainable life, and also, some people are like afraid of the idea of starting a business because of the commitment. But if you could think about it as starting a project, not a business,
Mm-hmm.
it might be easier because it might mean that you have two different projects and you have a stream of revenue coming from both projects, and it's enough or even more than you need.
Mm-hmm. So where can people who are tuning into the show today find out more about this here that we're talking about today?
Sure. They can, two places. They can go to my website, which is being updated, and I will have a newer version, I would say, within a week, and that's it'sallaboutjoy.com. It'sallaboutjoy.com, and then my email address is oshanaben@yahoo.com, which is OSHANA, B as in boy, E-N, @yahoo.com. And then I have a upcoming teleseminar, and this is a one session teleseminar that will, if people like the work and they want something more in depth, it's going to be followed by an 8-week teleseminar on this subject, so they can take their idea and really do the feasibility study, the testing in the market, and come away, well, certainly after 8 weeks, with a one-page business plan. I can't promise that in one evening, but I can promise to walk you through the steps and to share some content about how to test ideas. And it would be 90 minutes, and it's on August 3rd on Wednesday. Okay. Excuse me, September 3rd on Wednesday at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And Daniel, anybody coming in through your show, I will offer a 15% discount. It's not an expensive teleseminar, but I will give a discount to anybody coming in from you.
Well, very good. So there's no excuse out there for people not to get started.
No, and actually there's quite a lot of incentive for people if they come with more than one person from their family or company.
Okay.
I did that purposely because the more people that understand this work, especially because we deal with life and business issues, then the better off you are starting something, because you can there will be tools to resolve issues for better communication, building your team, and things like that will be included as well.
Well, very good. Well, Oshana Hemmett, thank you for joining us here on the Beyond 50 radio program. Please go ahead and give out your website again.
Yes, it's allaboutjoy.com.
Very good. Well, again, thank you for joining us here on the program. It's been a pleasure.
For me too. Thank you so much, Daniel.
You bet. So, with a business idea out there, folks, it's time to get started, time to get moving. Remember, even just one step, doing one thing to get you started will create the kind of excitement and enthusiasm to make you believe that you can make creating multiple streams of income a reality. We also want to be sure to have you visit our website at beyond50radio.com. That's the number 50 with a 50. And please sign up for our free weekly e-newsletter where we'll have all sorts of resources to help you become successful in any area of your life. Thank you again for tuning in. You've been listening to the Beyond 50 radio program. I'm Daniel Davis. Remember, live your day past halfway.